Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. The brave man is not the one who has no fears. He is the one who triumphs over his fears. A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. Success in politics demands that you must take your people into confidence about your views and state them very clearly, very politely, but nevertheless, state them openly. Courageous people do not fear forgiving for the sake of peace. As a leader, one must sometimes take actions that are unpopular or whose results will not be known for years to come. After climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. We must use time creatively and forever realize that the time is always ripe to do right. No single person can liberate a country. You can only liberate a country if you act as a collective. Everyone can rise above their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated to and passionate about what they do. Let your courage rise with danger. Difficulties break some men but make others. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. Appearances matter, and remember to smile. Freedom is indivisible. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. It is not where you start, but how high you aim that matters for success. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. I never lose. I either win or learn. Overcoming poverty is not a task of charity. It is an act of justice. Nothing is black or white. When the water starts boiling, it is foolish to turn off the heat. We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizens in any society, a life free from violence and fear. I like friends who have independent minds because they tend to make you see problems from all angles. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. A good head and good heart are always a formidable combination. But when you add to that a literate tongue or pen, then you have something very special. You will achieve more in this world through acts of mercy than you will through acts of retribution. Fools multiply when wise men are silent. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another. Money won't create success. The freedom to make it will. There is no such thing as part freedom. It always seems impossible until it's done. Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's inspiring others to move beyond it. Live life as though nobody is watching and express yourself as though everyone is listening. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. It was a useful reminder that all men, even the most seemingly cold-blooded, have a core of decency, and that if their heart is touched, they are capable of changing. If I had my time over, I would do the same again. So would any man who dares call himself a man. It is in your hands to make a better world for all who live in it. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying. In my country, we go to prison first and then become president. I am not an optimist, but a great believer of hope. I am the master of my fate and the captain of my destiny. Peace is the greatest weapon for development that any person can have. I could not imagine that the future I was walking toward could compare in any way to the past that I was leaving behind. Only free men can negotiate. Prisoners can't enter into contracts. We forgive but not forget. I realized that they could take everything from me except my mind and my heart. They could not take those things. Those things I still had control over, and I decided not to give them away. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom come responsibilities, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not ended. I hate race discrimination most intensely, and in all its manifestations. I have fought it all during my life. I fight it now and will do so until the end of my days. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones. Those who conduct themselves with morality, integrity, and consistency need not fear the forces of inhumanity and cruelty. Real leaders must be ready to sacrifice all for the freedom of their people. Losing a sense of time is an easy way to lose one's grip and even one's sanity. There are times when a leader must move out ahead of the flock, go off in a new direction, confident that he is leading his people the right way. Lead from the back and let others believe they are in front. As I have said, the first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. Great peacemakers are all people of integrity, of honesty, but humility. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Where you stand depends on where you sit. One of the things I learned when I was negotiating was that until I changed myself, I could not change others. One cannot be prepared for something while secretly believing it will not happen. We know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. Know your enemy and learn about his favorite sport. There is no easy walk to freedom anywhere, and many of us will have to pass through the valley of the shadow of death again and again before we reach the mountaintop of our desires. I dream of an Africa which is in peace with itself. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. It is music and dancing that make me at peace with the world. I learned that to humiliate another person is to make him suffer an unnecessarily cruel fate. Even as a boy, I defeated my opponents without dishonoring them. Your victory has demonstrated that no person anywhere in the world should not dare to dream of wanting to change the world for a better place. For a revolution is not just a question of pulling a trigger. Its purpose is to create a fair, just society. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frighten us. It is said that no one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jails. Life has a way of forcing decisions on those who vacillate. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. A leader is like a shepherd. He stays behind the flock, letting the most nimble go out ahead, whereupon the others follow, not realizing that all along they are being directed from behind. Tread softly, breathe peacefully, laugh hysterically. In some ways, it is easier to be a dissident, for then one is without responsibility. Difficulties break some men, but make others. No axe is sharp enough to cut the soul of a sinner who keeps on trying, one armed with the hope that he will rise even in the end. Politics can be strengthened by music, but music has a potency that defies politics. Nonviolence is a good policy when conditions permit. We fought injustice wherever we found it, no matter how large or how small, and we fought injustice to preserve our own humanity. I was a young man who attempted to make up for his ignorance with militancy. A blind pursuit of cheap popularity has nothing to do with revolution. To be the father of a nation is a great honor, but to be the father of a family is a greater joy. The purpose of freedom is to create it for others. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. When a man is denied the right to live the life he believes in, he has no choice but to become an outlaw. As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. Without language, one cannot talk to people and understand them. One cannot share their hopes and aspirations, grasp their history, appreciate their poetry, or savor their songs. Your playing small does not serve the world. Who are you not to be great? Quitting is leading to. There is a universal respect and even admiration for those who are humble and simple by nature and who have absolute confidence in all human beings, irrespective of their social status. I have never cared very much for personal prizes. A person does not become a freedom fighter in the hope of winning awards. If you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. Then he becomes your partner. Once a person is determined to help themselves, there is nothing that can stop them. Lead from the front, but don't leave your base behind. There are few misfortunes in this world that you cannot turn into a personal triumph if you have the iron will and the necessary skill. Although I am a gregarious person, I love solitude even more. It is most unusual to return to a place that has changed in ways you yourself have altered. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. Keep your friends close and your rivals even closer. Men have different capacities and react differently to stress. But the stronger ones raised up the weaker ones, and both became stronger in the process. Democracy meant all men were to be heard, and a decision was taken together as a people. Majority rule was a foreign notion. A minority was not to be crushed by a majority. I was not a messiah, but an ordinary man who had become a leader because of extraordinary circumstances. It will forever remain an accusation and a challenge to all men and women of conscience that it took as long as it has before all of us stood up to say enough is enough. Violence was the only weapon that would destroy apartheid. But the hard facts were that 50 years of nonviolence had brought the African people nothing but more and more repressive legislation and fewer rights. I did not have an unlimited library to choose from on Robben Island. We had access to many unremembered mysteries and detective novels and all the works of Daphne du Maurier, but little more. It reaffirmed my long-held belief that education was the enemy of prejudice. These were men and women of science, and science had no room for racism.